Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today let's review history. So this game was played between Master and Mi Yuting 9P, and it's one of the most famous games from Master back then. So Master is pretty much just AlphaGo, but that was before AlphaGo was playing Kejie in China back in 2017. So this was before that, and Master was playing online. The name that it gave itself was Master, therefore people call it Master, but it's the early version of AlphaGo. Okay, so Master is playing as white and Mi Yuting is playing as black, and this game is absolutely mind-blowing, and I still sometimes review this game just to learn from this game. So lots of values that we can extract from this game. So Master is playing as white, Mi Yuting is playing as black. Mi Yuting first played the big came out enclosure, and back then Master was a little bit more playing like human. It's not as strong as the say Katago these days, right? So back then this was still Master's favorite move. Next up, we have Mi Yuting trying to mimic the AI style, right? He's trying to use AI style to defeat AI. That's why he played the shoulder hit. White approaches, and black plays a very cool move. This is a very rare joseki. So I think Mi Yuting was trying to play this to take Master out of the book. But of course, there's no book for Master. Master is just so good at handling any type of situation. So white crawls, black extends, white hanes, black hane. So this is the joseki variation. When white placed the crawl on the third line, one of the main variation is for black to block here, especially when this ladder works. Even if it doesn't work, white cannot cut because black still has this type of netting move. So this cutting point doesn't exist, therefore the variation is for white to simply jump out. The book move plays as follows: black attaches, white extends, and black plays the extension move. That's a very cool looking move locally. And the result of this is that white is going to play an extension and black is going to develop on the left side. But this was not black's intention, right? Black really wanted to coordinate with the corner enclosure on top to build the area here. But of course, at this point, it's not possible because white already has a lot of stones here. So black doesn't want to go into that line, even if, of course, we know it's very playable. Black wants to be consistent with his idea. In the actual game, black plays the hane on top and securing the moyo on top. But then, of course, the moyo on the bottom will be hurt. Black blocks, and instead of playing the hane, which is what I will definitely play in my game, and probably a lot of my viewers would have thought about the same. The problem with playing this move is that, although there's nothing wrong with this move, this is a huge move, black is going to tanuki here, and black is going to follow up with some sort of idea like this. And now all of a sudden we can see that black's idea is very consistent. Even with this shoulder hit move, it's all building moyo towards the center. So when your opponent has such a consistent idea, it's a little bit harder for you to deal with. Let's see how Master handles this type of situation. Master decides to give up the territory and then play the hane over here. Black Atari, white Atari, and black captures. And the next move is what shocked everyone back then. That is for Master to play the peep here. So this move is very common nowadays because we've studied so much with AI, and Go has just become another sport. It's not the same Go as 10 years ago, of course, but back then this was the first time people see this type of move. And of course, Mi Yuting would block on the third line, right? That's just a must-play move. And white bumps into black, black blocks, and white plays the hane. Back then, people would think this is a very vulgar move. Black extends, following up with the idea. We can see black has very good shape. But then, all of a sudden, we see Master playing the extension move, connecting both sides. So the beauty of playing like this is that white is very light. White can sacrifice any of his stones, and that's the problem for black, right? There's no way for black to catch such a thing. When you can sacrifice any one stone of your group, that means your group is pretty much invincible because I can sacrifice anytime. And this is the beauty about Go. When you play so light, instead of being weak, you are actually invincible, which is very interesting, I find. So here, black can't even play locally anymore because there's no way to clearly target the entire thing. It's just not possible. In the actual game, black plays the push on top, and white crawls on the third line. Black bumps into white, white blocks, and black hanes. And here, very exciting move by Master back then. Here, today the theory would always be extension on the second line. This is a joseki that I talked about way back, a few years back. But for viewers who are new here, I just want to present you the theory here. So black needs to extend, white crawls, and black keeps extending, and this is the end of the joseki for white. And I really encourage you to play like this as white because this is super beginner friendly, especially when you're not like a high dan or mid dan level yet. This is such a great joseki for white because white has a lot of territory, as we can see. And it's not very clear how black is going to make use of his influence on the outside. So that's reason number one that you want to play this type of joseki as white because it's easy to manage. But the second reason is that white can actually tanuki many times here. So white can tanuki once. Okay, if black blocks, we can tanuki second time. Black blocks again, and white can tanuki a third time. And there's still no life and death problem inside the corner. If black plays the peep, we can simply respond to that, and that's no problem. Black bumps into white, white connects. Black honeys, white honeys, black connects. And here we can simply play out the honey and tiger's mouth. And this is a very famous alive shape, right? If you come in here, I can block. I have no problem making two eyes. So very clear, very clean alive for white inside the corner, right? And we already see that how many moves black invested trying to attack our corner. So my point is that white's corner is actually rock solid. It takes 1-2 moves, and then you still you don't threaten the life and death of my corner. All right, so that's just some basic theory for this modern variation. But of course, back then, Master was just a mysterious AI, and it was like halfway towards the new AlphaGo, the Alpha Zero, and also like halfway, from the old AlphaGo that defeated Lee Sedol 4-1. So it was like a half human type of AI, but like constantly evolving. So it was very interesting. It was a very interesting period of time. So white honeys, and this gets very exciting because Mi chooses the avalanche variation, which is extinct by now. Like I can tell you, like I don't see this anymore. This type of variation does not exist anymore today. And that's kind of sad. But the reason it doesn't exist is because, as I said, white will extend on the second line, and this is slightly better for white. Okay, so black Atari and white extend, black also extend. That was the theory back then. And at this point, white chooses the alter turn variation. Black cuts. And the book move here is, back then, was for white to extend. And that was the book move, like the, most cut edge kind of variation, even back then, right? So it was for white to extend. And the theory is black plays the tiger's mouth, white Atari, and then double honey. Now black is going to turn and capture 3 stones, and white Atari, black extends, and white connects on the third line. This was the theory back then. The idea is influence versus territory type of game because black captured a lot of territory, but of course the outside. If white plays a move, that's a sente, but white doesn't really have to play here right now because white can save the choice of playing the block here as well. That's also a sente, and therefore that's an equal position back then. But what was really shocking and what made this game so famous was the sequence that Master was playing. Master played Atari on the second line and then Hane on the fifth line. And I remember all the commentators were like, this is the first time in my 30+ year career seeing this type of variation. And one commentator said that if this was one of my students, I would call his parents and tell him to not play Go professionally and just do something else, which I found to be hilarious. But anyway, so white plays the Hane, and here black has 2 variations, and the next commentary is not what I said. This is Mi Yuting's his own commentary. He said he was thinking about 2 variations. He said one is to Atari and jump, and he was hesitating between this one, and then he thought for a while, and then he realized simply jumping out is just slightly better. Therefore, he played the jump over here. White plays the Atari, and black plays the bamboo, and white now crawls on the second line. Black extends, white crawls, black extends, white extends on the second line. And here black extends again. So according to Mi Yuting's own commentary, he said that this was a mistake. He has reflected a lot about on this move. He said that the correct variation for black to play is to Atari on the third line right now. White captures, black Atari, and white has to play the tiger's mouth, in which case he can just take back, and then after all of these exchanges, he can come back and extend on the fifth line. And I think he's absolutely right about this, because with this variation, we suppress white all onto the second line, and our group has slightly more liberties than in the actual game. Okay, let's see what happened in the actual game. So Mi Yuting in the actual game did not exchange the stuff that he said he should exchange, but that leads to white being able to extend on the third line. And we see that the liberty problems that black has over here is very serious, because white can capture, white can push through here. Black doesn't have a lot of liberties. So because of this mistake, I think at this point, white is gaining a slight advantage. Black now jumps towards the center, protecting the center. And here white plays the keima. This is absolutely the biggest move on the board right now, right? Protecting this remaining corner right here. Black plays the hane, white connects, and black now plays the pincer over here. So here maybe a slightly better move is for Mi Yuting to play the shoulder hit, because this would be slightly better direction of play, right? The reason we want to play the shoulder hit is to kind of protect our top over here, because there's still some remaining aji. If white ever manages to drag this group out, means that both groups are under a lot of pressure. Therefore, we want to play a move that is slightly higher to kind of support our group over here. And we can see this move coordinates better with the board. What Mi actually played in the game was not accurate in terms of direction of play, because we can see that white Atari and capture would be a sente, and we can see this is a little bit over concentration. So that was a slight mistake by Mi Yuting in terms of direction of play. And of course, the game is falling a little bit behind than before. All right, the next move, white plays the crawl here to make sure that the corner has no aji left. Black had to extend, and here white kicks in the center. And now the liberty issues that I was talking about is very sharp right now, right? Because white now is looking at the push and potentially wedge over here. And this is a big problem. So in the actual game, Mi Yuting spends a move to fix the problem, and now white plays a beautiful keima move in the center. I loved this move as well as the following moves. So yeah, it's just a great move, right? It's looking at going into the center, but it's also looking at the keima over here to press the stone. Now Mi Yuting is worried about his position, therefore he goes to, for the attach and try to start a fight against Master. Master plays the hane inside, and black now extend, and the next couple of moves is just amazing. White plays the keima, as I was mentioning. So here, for a human player, it's very easy for you to just extend, because this looks like a shape move. However, black will immediately attack white's formation by clamping. White pushes out and black pushes down, and we can see that this leads to quite a chaotic fight, which is what Mi Yuting really loves to do. But in the actual game, look at how Master handled this. It was just like a teaching lesson for anyone. So white plays the keima, and after a few moves, we can see that black is over concentrating over here. So after these favorable exchanges for white, white chooses to sacrifice the territory, because white already got so much territory on the top left, and now we can see how Master balances this game by playing the push on top and suppressing black's potential on top. Black hanes, white double hanes, and this is also a great move that my viewers can learn, because if you extend down, this becomes a gote for you, and this is not great because now sente is very important. Therefore, we apply max pressure. Black cuts, white connects, and after this exchange, we can see that white is rock solid with a sente, and black only gained a little bit more territory. So this is a very satisfactory result by white. And next up, I think this is my favorite move of this game. That is the two-space jump. Just you can see the balance. We're just about like a great. The distance is just safe enough, right? So it's efficient and it's safe, and it's just the right balance. We're looking at the next move to maybe jump another. So if black plays somewhere else, then we can probably do this, and we can see that this is not acceptable for black, right? Black now has to spend another move to fix like this, therefore black cannot accept it. But when black plays what he played in the actual game, we can see that our reduction just feels right? It's just that golden balance that Master has in this game that's really impressive. And I think when people are watching this game, they're just feeling like this is just a teaching game, right, by white. So very well played move. All right, so at this point, of course, Master still has to figure out how to deal with the weaknesses over here, right? As everything else gets settled, it's time for white to answer. How do you want to like settle your weak groups over here? If you're new to this channel, I provide full commentaries on ongoing professional tournaments, epic classic games, and AI games every week. My videos are always backed by professional players' commentaries or AI analysis. Subscribe to the channel to level up your Go skills now. All right, the next move, Master extends on the second line. Absolute shape move, right? After this move, we can see that white all of a sudden becomes a lot more secure, and this becomes more or less points. Next up, we have Mi Yuting try to provoke a fight, and Master answered very correctly by extending towards the outside. That's a very good direction. In terms of just reading, Master is also insanely strong, right? Like we can see that Mi Yuting hasn't gained a single shred of advantage from just reading, and this is what he's really good at, right? In terms of fighting, absolutely no chance. Master was just way too strong. Okay, so this didn't work for black. Black has to figure out something else. Black Atari's in the center. The reason Mi Yuting doesn't want Atari here is because white is going to flip Atari, and this would give white the Sente. And we can see that this Panuki doesn't really do much because black is already super thick, right? So this would just be called over concentration, and white can simply block here. And now we can see white is very practical. White gained a lot of territory, and black is not really gaining much. That is why Mi Yuting prefers to Atari on the outside, and white connects. And here, black plays the peep here. This is a very good local invasion technique, but then Master just handles it so well, right? Block, Hane, very natural play. White Hanes, black plays the tiger's mouth. White Atari, black connect, and white simply connect. Super simple, super solid style, and there's nothing black can do. All right, black tries to get compensation by capturing 3 stones, but Master doesn't really care about these 3 stones, and Master decides to cut over here. So at this point, I already learned so much from this game. This is like amount of learning that this is the amount of learning that I do in 2 videos, but I learned this so much already just from one single game. However, Master is still performing. Master is still teaching us something. That is that when we are leading, it doesn't mean we can get loose. And this is so important in the game of Go, right? When our opponent has weakness, then the best way for us to convert our advantage into victory is by keep attacking. Because through attacking, that's how our thickness can show its value, right? So when we exploit our opponent's insecurity, that's how we can gain a further advantage to secure our win. Now we can see Mi Yuting is not feeling good. He connects on the second line, at least saving the stone and saving some points. White extends on top, threatening the life and death of the group over here. Black pushes on top, white Hanes, black Hanes, and white now cut. And all of a sudden, black is cut off, and tactically, there's no way to like punish this cut because that's the right move to play as white. And here, the only thing black can do is to Atari. This is very painful for black, right? To Atari in this direction, because we can see that white is extending and it's facing a great direction, and black is facing this wall over here. But this is all forced. So black had to push so many times, and at this point, black decides to threaten the 2 stones here first. But at this point, we can already see the goal of Master playing the cut and creating insecurities for our opponents is that when you invest like this, right? At the beginning, it looks like it doesn't look so great. Like, why do we cut here? We're not generating any points. What is the point of doing this? But now we can see it pays off, right? As I just explained, black now is facing a very bad side, and white has a giant wall, right? This part could become white's territory, and this is exactly the profits you gain by cutting your opponent. All right, now let's see how Master maneuvers the counter against the counter attack. So black plays the hane, white hanes, black now bumps into white, and the next move, white plays out a very good directional move. So a lot of my viewers might just connect over here, but this would be a little slow, right? So black can go back and fix this. Now, making this eye is not as small as you think because it tightens white's liberty, making this Atari very serious. So white pretty much has to extend here and making sure there's no problem. But then black gets the initiative in the center, so it doesn't matter where black plays. This move expands black, fixes all the weakness, and suppress white's moyo, right? So if white plays out like this would be a little slow and allows Mi Yuting to slowly come back into this game. So no one says we have to connect over here. Instead, we should always take what's the the biggest. We should focus on the biggest area of the board right now. That is this kind of move, suppressing black and expanding ourselves. When black blocks over here, the next move, I absolutely loved it. So this is just so much to learn. Like, we're just learning move after move, idea after idea on how to control the game. If white extends, then black will simply block, right? If white focuses on the idea of building a moyo, then this is going to happen, right? So black first managed to completely capture the 3 stones, and black plays the tiger's mouth. White has to play the keima in the center to enclose the territory over here. But then after white spends so much effort to enclose the 20 plus points in the center, next move, black plays this extension move. And we can see all the territory is kind of back because black gained so much territory and white lost so much territory as well. So this exchange of profits is not favorable for white, actually. And this shows you a very important principle. That is, you shouldn't use your influence to build territory. And Master is showing us exactly what to play when you have thickness. That is to exploit our opponent's weakness by hane over here. Now black obviously doesn't want to hane because this, comparing to the previous variation, we can see that white just gained so much more. And therefore, Mi Yuting cannot stand that, and he plays the counter attack. White Atari, black extend, white now connects in the center. So now white lost all the territory over here, but white breaks into black's territory as well. So at the end of the day, this is not really a loss for Master. Black now comes back to fix the weakness, and we can see that, right, by exploiting our opponent's weakness, black had to play a very miserable move inside to deal with this, and then white gets this crucial move, and we're getting so much points, and then black will never get points over here. So this is clearly a way better variation for Master. Black now peeps on top, and white had to answer everything. And here black turns on top. This is a sente. And finally, Mi Yuting comes back, playing a 2 space jump, trying to suppress white and build some territory in the center. White plays the connection. This is a sente. It looks at the squeeze over here. So Mi Yuting had to block that. And finally, white comes back and take the territory back. And now this is forcing black to live this group. Now, before black lives the group, black threatens to cut white first. White has to connect, and black plays the eye-making move. And finally, Master comes back to play the extension and fix everything in here. So let's, at this point, kind of summarize what happened so far, right? So basically, starting from this cutting point, Master managed to exploit the weaknesses that black has on both sides, forcing black to push his stones towards a very bad side, and he builds a moyo in the center, right? And before we think he was going to connect here, instead he placed the peep over here, right? And just as we think he's going to build a moyo in the center, no, he goes for a transfer of profits. He breaks into black's center, and making sure black has to spend a very inefficient move to just kill the 2 stones over here, right? So white breaks into black's territory, and of course black managed to break into white's potential. But then as black, breaks into white's potential, white comes back to save the 2 stones, forcing black to play a fairly small move over here. And then he finally comes back to extend. Not only gets rid of the threat, but also gets rid of the threat in the center and also strengthens the center. Now, as his center is strengthened, he is he has the time now. He's ready to come into black center to destroy black's remaining territory. The whole process, the whole sequence by master is just perfect. It's unparalleled. It's just when you watch this game, it's just so pleasing to watch. And this is exactly like as the name suggests, master. This is exactly what a master plays in Game of Go. It's just such a beautiful flow. Okay, so Mi Yuting still hasn't given up yet. Even if he's behind, he's trying to enclose the center. Very beautiful move by black. So this move not only kills everything in here, but also we can see the center is forming. So if master can't find an efficient move or efficient sequence to try to destroy the center over here, the game will still be close. So let's see what master does. Master first starts with the endgame, really not rushing, not panicking, just taking big moves. Black connects and white now crawls on the second line. This is an absolutely huge move that gets a lot of points and a lot of thickness. Black now has to fight for the endgame because black is behind in terms of points. So even if black really wants to play a move like that, but if black allows white to simply play the Keima here, which is huge, right? It's about expansion and reduction for both sides, so this is a very big move. This would be a leading game for white, therefore Mi Yuting has to fight for this type of endgame. White pushes on top, black pulls the stone back, leaving a monkey jump towards the corner. And now white decides to come into black's territory. Black extends, and now white plays another Kosumi, looking at the life and death. Black blocks, and white now attached in the center. Black bumps into white, white connects, and we can see that master at this point realizes that he is very ahead, therefore he just plays very solid in the center. But of course, being very solid is also looking at the potential Aji that black has over here. So very well played as well. Black now pushes into white, white blocks, and black now crawls on the second line. Master connects on the third line, making sure that... So from an endgame perspective, of course, you want to play here, but then this becomes a sente, which makes the center a lot weaker. That's why white simply connects on the third line. Black now jumps over here, reducing some remaining territory. White turns, black honeys, white captures, and here black finally comes back to fight very aggressively for the territory. White now plays out the endgame sequence, and at this point, it's black sente. Black now jumps in the center to make sure that white doesn't form any meaningful territory over here. White honeys, and now we can see the benefit of cutting, right? So this move is causing a lot of shape problems, forcing black to play the tiger's mouth. White crawls, and here black can't block because there's a double Atari. And therefore, black had to connect like this, right? So this is a lot of endgame profits by white as well, thanks to the cutting point a long time ago. White now goes into the center, black extends, and now white plays the Keima, right? We can see that not only master is so good at controlling early game, has a great sense of direction of play, but also in terms of reading, as I said, is so strong, right? So it has the courage to come into Mi Yuting's territory just like this, as if well, he doesn't know who Mi Yuting is, but basically he just doesn't care. He comes in, his reading is accurate, and therefore he does it. Black now captures the stone, white honeys, black cuts, white Atari, black extends, white connects, and capture the two stones over here. Absolutely nothing Mi Yuting can do about this. Mi Yuting now pushes towards the center, trying to capture the two stones over here, and now white connects over here. So this looks like just an ordinary connect, but this also has a lot of reading behind it because now we're looking at the Atari and we're also looking at connecting over here. So now black very much want to just connect in the center and making sure that this is a lot of territory, but black cannot play like that because now white can connect here. We can see that the previous investment by white now is working. Black has to connect over here, and now white connects in the center. Here black has to live because there's only one eye here, so black has to live with the attach over here. Problem with that is now white harness at the tengen. Black captures the stone, white pushes, black takes, and white now connects in the center. We can see that these two stones are just out because of the liberty problems. Black has pretty much nothing left in the center, and this group later on will be bullied. For example, if white plays here, right, we capture the stone, and you have to connect to just be able to live inside. So that's not an acceptable variation for black. That's too painful. Therefore, in the actual game, Mi Yuting takes and master turns over here and black bumps into white. And here, the reason you don't want to connect is because white can simply bump like this, Atari, and then cut in the center. And now it's pretty much the time for black to resign. If black connects, white captures, black captures, and white Atari. And we can see that this whole thing is dead. So is this dragon over here. Right? Of course, that can't happen to Mi Yuting. That's just too much. And therefore, at this point, it's so painful. Black wants to connect this so bad, but he can't. He has to bump into white. White Atari, turn, Atari, connect. This is all Sente for white. And white now squeeze over here. Black play the Hane. Of course, white will fix the corner. And black now connect the stone over here. But white gets the remaining very big endgame move. So at this point, this is a very big leading game for Master. Master is definitely, I think Master is kind of like ahead on the board. So forget about the Komi. There's no way black can pay the Komi. But even if there was no Komi, probably white will win still by a little bit. So at this point, the game is just completely hopeless. Well, what's really interesting is that eventually Mi Yuting lost this game by 0.5 points, but that was because Master that's just Master stuff. Like he loves to give a lot of freebies towards the end game and make sure he just wins by a little bit. And that happens so much. It really doesn't mean that the difference between Mi Yuting and Master is 0.5 points. It's a lot more than that. And throughout this game, we can see that I was very impressed by how well Mi Yuting has played in this game as well. You know, starting from the beginning, there was only one slight inaccuracy on top, as Mi Yuting very quickly pointed out himself. And Mi Yuting is always fighting, looking for fighting opportunities. It's just that it feels like it's so completely useless because he's fighting against a wall. And Master is just handling everything accurately, direction of play, fighting skills. You know, even the end game maneuvers at this point. It's just so well played by Master from start to finish, and there's nothing Mi Yuting can do about it. So I really personally enjoy this game. I learned so much from this game. It's one of the most famous games from Master back then. So I hope you guys enjoy the game as well. I'll see you guys in the next one.